Hi everyone, Nicole Noble here. We will be talking about person-centered therapy. So during my counseling internship, I vividly remember the first time that a student disclosed a trauma. I was working at a school counseling site, and at the site, the student disclosed their trauma, and I remember thinking, I don't know what to do. How did I personally get trained for this? How is this possible that I'm trained to try to help this individual? Of course, I had had all of the courses and training, but there was something different about this in real life experience, in vivo experience I was having. And that was until I remembered person-centered therapy. And it's very simple. One thing I remembered: just be present. Just listen. Try to fully understand and completely get the full message of what they're sharing with you. Just be a passenger along for this journey to hear them. So it was this theory that guided me through the work with the client. And if you forget all else, this theory can really be helpful for you in times of need. If you don't know what to do, summarize what they've said, which is all person-centered. So I thought I'd start with a few questions. Do you believe that humans are born good, or do you believe that they have to be taught morals? So Carl Rogers, the founder of person-centered therapy, believed that at the core of humans, we are trustworthy and positive. So Rogers believed that at the heart of people, we are capable of making change, and the change that we need to be productive and happy and successful. So when people feel safe enough to make change is when they gravitate towards self-actualization. And he believed all people had the capacity and were trying to gravitate towards self-actualization. So the counselor's role was simply to provide an environment where the client can feel safe and truly heard. Through providing this growth-fostering conditions, the counselor can help the client strive towards their fulfillment and their creative nature. So a major tenet of this theory is that the client is the expert of their world. So that's great news for anyone who's a beginning counselor, because it can totally take the pressure off you. It's like, wow, I don't have to know everything. I just have to know how to be present with this person and display these 3 core conditions. And they're pretty simple. So it's all about just connecting on a deeper level. And it allows you to just focus on the client and understand their worldview, rather than thinking about what you're going to say next or how you're going to incorporate some technique. No techniques are really necessary. It's just connect, be authentic, be you. So this theory doesn't really believe in diagnosing or giving advice, because the counselor does not know what's in the best interest of the client. Only the client knows what's in their best interest. So when I've had clients who've asked me for advice, or sometimes even begged me, please tell me what to do, I don't know what to do in this situation, then I would respond with something like, you are the expert of your world. Only you have had all the experiences and have all the information to know what's the best course of action for you. So usually that was if they kept pushing. I would try a few other techniques first, but in the end, just being authentic. Like, I don't believe I can say what's best for you. I believe you know what's best for you. So the goal is to help your client navigate not necessarily just the specific problem they're currently encountering, but rather allow them to reach their self-actualized, authentic potential so that they can navigate any future problems they may have successfully. So in order to do that, the emphasis again is on that counselor-client relationship and on the counselor's personal attributes. So the 3 core conditions for personal growth are that the counselor must convey to the client congruency, or genuineness, or realness. So they need to be authentic. And 2, that they need to have unconditional positive regard or acceptance and caring. They need to emit that all the time for their clients. And 3, they need to have accurate, empathetic understanding, which is the ability to deeply grasp the subjective world of another person. So, again, pretty basic. They're just being authentic. They are trying to accept others and self, and they are just trying to understand them just as they are. Not trying to change them, just understand them. So the assumption of this therapy, is that the client is behaving in ways that are incongruent. And that's what's causing their issues, this incongruent behavior that they're engaging in. So the therapist should be behaving congruently so that they can help their client achieve congruency by serving as a role model for that congruency. So the theory recognizes that the client is the agent of change and healing. Sometimes people think of a counselor working from a person-centered approach as being unconditionally positively accepting the client in all of their behaviors all of the time. However, that's not true. If the counselor felt that they were finding something about their client's behavior to be particularly off-putting and they couldn't get past it, then they would, of course, first try to have that unconditional positive regard and acceptance, and maybe know if they knew better, they would do better. But if they can't do that, then the person-centered therapist would actually recognize that congruency and authenticity in themselves is more important than that unconditional positive regard. So they would express their feelings to their client that might be negative even, but they would try to do so in a way that would really convey the acceptance still, while still demonstrating that they are being congruent and accurate. They're not just being fake or pretending to like the client when they don't really like them. They're conveying acceptance, but still maybe challenging them some and pressing them to be congruent. So Carl Rogers' daughter, Natalie Rogers, used many of Rogers' tenets of person-centered therapy to incorporate expressive arts into therapy. So this is kind of an offshoot of person-centered therapy, which you'll find is common, and the book talks about several other offshoots of these theories. Now, I'm not covering all of those simply due to time for this semester, but some of them are motivational interviewing or emotion-focused therapy, and then this one from Natalie Rogers on expressive arts. But Natalie Rogers understood that you can get a lot of information about a client's inner world simply from the expressive arts, and you can glean a lot about their inner world and try to make their inner and outer world more congruent together. So that's a very brief overview of person-centered therapy. Of course, if you read any of Carl Rogers' works, you'll find that that's just so simplified, but really those are the major tenets of it. So that is our theory for today. Thanks for tuning in.